So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chinyelu Mwafrika. I am a second year here at Butler. I'm studying theater and creative media entertainment, and I've been working professionally as a videographer for about 4 years now, and then for like non-professionally, like internships and stuff for a little bit before that. Most of my experience is with stuff like shooting events, shooting interviews. I've worked with the IRT a few times, the Central Indiana Community Foundation, and other groups that are local to the city. So has anyone here used any Adobe tools, Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, Audition, anything like that before? All right. Cool. So this will be fun. And so I'd say like one of the most important things of that process is making sure that you have quality footage to work with in the first place. And there are a few different ways. There are a few ways that you can do that. If you are shooting the footage yourself, you want to make sure that things like that you're using a good mic with your camera, if that's the type of project you're doing, that your footage isn't overexposed or out of focus, that you're shooting in the right format. That's another really important thing. Adobe Premiere supports editing of video quality all the way up to 4K, which is like the highest quality you can get. And so you want to make sure, one, that you know what format that you want to shoot in. I always shoot in 4K just because it gives you the most options when you're editing, and also that the format that you're shooting is consistent. Because what that means is that because the size of your editing files are different, then you'll come out with a video that looks like patchwork, and that's never fun. Yeah. So I don't know what my computer is doing. It tried to update, and now it says that it couldn't update, so it's undoing the update. So sorry about that. Does anyone have questions? Well, we can do that until this decides to work.
Have you worked with any software besides the Adobe stuff?
Yeah. So when I'm doing work professionally, Adobe is my main thing. I've also done work with iMovie, and we did like a summer camp a few summers ago where we had all of the campers used like this free software that we found. And something that you'll find is that the basic tools that you have in an editing program are almost always the same, regardless of what you're using. You're always going to have a cut tool. You're always going to have a delete tool. You're always going to have something that lets you increase and decrease the speed of your footage. So they're pretty consistent in that way. I would say that what sets Adobe aside from the others, or the Adobe programs, it was something I was going to show you, or I'm hoping to be able to show you in a little bit, but Adobe allows you to improve your workflow because they have a lot of keyboard shortcuts. So, and you don't really think about the time it takes you to move your mouse across the screen to click a tool, but when you can access that tool in like half that time by just pressing some buttons, it cuts your editing time in half by a lot. So, and then aside from that, Adobe just has like a lot of capabilities as far as like effects that you can do, and then you can integrate. You can work with Adobe and After Effects at the same time to do really cool stuff with special like text effects, and you can add like just a whole lot of really cool stuff that you can do with both of them working in tandem. anything else? Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, this is something. Give me 1 second. We're gonna improvise a little bit. Okay. All right, I'm trying to share my screen. Is this working?
No, not yet.
No? Okay. Oh, okay. I think I got it.
There you go.
Sweet. So, since I can't pull Adobe up on my computer, I'm going to do the next best thing and pull it up on someone else's computer. So, when you open Adobe, this is what the UI, the user interface, is going to look like. I can't really point at things, but if you look like, so if you look like down here, this is your this is where all of your footage and audio is. The way that Adobe is set up, it's got footage up here near the top, and then audio down here near the bottom. And you can and Adobe allows you to use multiple tracks for both. So if you want to layer audio, then you just drag the audio that you want to layer above or beneath whatever's already there. The way Adobe works and the way that most editing programs work is they will have your stuff stacked kind of like in layers. So if you have 2 video clips and you put one in the video track, see right here where it says, well, you can kind of see it. It says V1, then above that V2, and then above that V3. And then with the audio, it's the same, A1, and then going down, A2, and then going down, A3. So if you put a video, so if you have 2 clips of video and you put one in V1 and the other in V2, the one in V2 is going to be the one that's visible. Unless you use this little eye tool right here and make those invisible so that they can't be seen. If you use Vectorworks, it's very similar to Vectorworks or any other art programs. And when they talk about layers, the layer that's on top is going to be the one that you can use and operate in. And then over here we have we've got our toolbar. The ones that you're going to end up using the most, the ones that are the most valuable, I think, is the select tool, the little pointer right here, and the razor tool, which you can kind of see 1, 2, 3 icons below that. And if you've worked with any sort of editing software, you can kind of guess what those are. There's other tools like they've got a rate stretch tool, which allows you to slow down or speed up your footage. They've got a tool that allows you to, like this pen tool down here, allows you to create masking, which is a bit more advanced of a technique that we're not going to go in today. And then they've just got a lot of stuff in these drop down menus. There's a ripple delete tool. Normally when you delete something in Adobe, it just leaves that space blank. The ripple delete, though, it not only deletes the clip that you want to delete, but it also moves everything in the timeline, this space right here, back to fill the space of what you just deleted. So this is where most of the editing happens. This is where, and then up here, you can see your footage as it's being edited in the timeline, and what it looks like as you're putting it together. Here you've got, so this little toolbar right here is one that I don't end up using very often. The tools that it has are ones that you can also access pretty easily on your keyboard. It's got a play tool, it's got a rewind and fast forward, and with the shortcuts that and with shortcuts you can do all that without ever having to use that toolbar. Down here is your project, is your project where your project files are going to be. So to get stuff into Adobe, to be able to edit, you're going to come up here. You come up here to where it says File, and under that drop down, there will be an option to import footage from your computer or whatever external hard drives you have, and that's just how you get files into Adobe so that you can actually edit with them. I think that the next most important thing, aside from the timeline down here, is up here, and it's your effect controls. Effect controls allow you to change stuff like position, scale. If you add effects like if you add like a crossfade, or if you add like transitions, or if you add stuff to like adjust for volume and whatnot, this is where you're going to be able to adjust that up here in effect controls. Now, when I say scale, what that means, when I say scale and position, I should say, what that means is that right now, his footage is centered so that it fills up the entire screen. However, you may have seen videos where people have like 2 clips playing on the screen side by side at the same time, or they have clips that like they have like, you know, multiple clips playing at once. And what basically you can use scale and position to shrink clips so they don't take up the entire viewport, and then move them around so that you can position them in really fun and creative ways. Let me see. Over here, this little toolbar right here, it's a very useful one. It shows you your audio levels. And basically that's important because as you're editing, you don't want to have your audio levels be inconsistent, too low or too high. And that's just like, it's a good way to see if your volume is where it should be. Typically, as you're lower, you'll start off in the green. As you go up, you move to yellow and then red. When you're in the red, that means that your audio is too high and that you need to make some adjustments. Let me see, what else have we got? Let's get into some of the effects that we can do. Yeah. That was not very good. Sure. My computer is now restarting, so hopefully I'll be able to get my own program soon. This is from an older version of Adobe, but this is one of the things that they haven't changed a whole lot in all their updates. So right near where your media, like where your project files are, I think on mine is like you can move the different palettes around. So on mine, I think it's like up here, like up in this top right corner. But it's the effects. And when you click effects, you see stuff like, you'll see video effects, video transitions, audio effects, and audio transitions. You can see audio transitions right there. And what that stuff allows you to do, it allows you to do stuff like, you can like transitions for one, of course. You can fade between different clips. You can do barn doors, which like is more of kind of like a, has anyone used like in like any PowerPoint program, like the graphic effects they use, like that you can use transition between slides? That's where you find stuff like that here. For audio effects, it's similarly the same thing. Audio transitions, I should say. For audio transitions, it's very much the same thing. When you want to make one piece of audio transfer into another piece of audio, or when you want to adjust how audio like fades out as your video ends or comes to a place of silence, that's where you'll find that stuff. Let me see. Video effects, so video effects is like, you can do stuff like you can color correct. Say you're shooting some footage outside, and this is more of a camera word, but when you shoot with a camera, the camera looks for something that is white, or that it perceives as like the color white, and then it sets all the colors relative to what it thinks white is. And that's called white balancing. So if your white balance is off when you shoot, and you get into Adobe Premiere and you've got stuff that, like, you know, the colors aren't quite as saturated as they should be, or they're too saturated, or they just, like, you know, don't look how you want them to look, you can use video effects to correct that color and get it to a place that you are comfortable with. You can also use video effects to add stuff like, I don't know, you can make your video blurry or fuzzy. You can like sharpen video that's like maybe a little bit out of focus, although that tool isn't quite as effective. None of those tools are effective as just shooting it right when you've got, you know, when you're out there with your camera. So that's why I say that it's very important to make sure that your footage is quality before you even edit. Adobe can only do so much to correct bad footage, and if you make it work too hard, your footage is just going to turn out worse than what it was when you shot it. Video effects, you can adjust things like volume, past what you can normally do in the effect controls. You can adjust things like pitch. You can you know, add little like filters and stuff, and all that cool stuff. So so those are effects. Questions. So sorry that I'm not able to get this up on my computer. It'd be a lot easier for everyone if it was behaving properly, but we do what we can. Questions? Any? No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to get into a little bit of, I'm going to try to get into a little bit of like video editing jargon, just some terms that are that we use in the business, quotation marks, that you want to know if you're going to be getting into this in any way. So the first thing that I would like to talk about is the J cut and the L cut. So you may have seen videos where like where you're watching something and you see someone and they're talking, and then it cuts to a different shot, but they are still talking under that shot. And that is what we call the J cut or the L cut in other cases, depending on how it's set up. We call them that because of the shape that the cuts take. Let me see if I can find one of these in Premiere. Yeah. So this is a good example of an L cut, because it is in, if you look at it, the shape of an L, because while the this is what you're looking at, the part that's highlighted, because while the video stops, the audio moves on, and it helps you transition into the next clip. The opposite of that is a J cut, which would happen the opposite, which would, goes the opposite way, in which the clip that you want starts after the audio starts. And so they're very similar. These are useful for a lot of reasons. It helps you establish consistency when you're shooting. It helps you maintain continuity, which is just making sure that everything is making sure that our brains think that everything is where it should be. The human brain is very good at seeing patterns. It can recognize like things like time and space, even like unconsciously. So if you have if you have like two different shots without anything to connect them together, it's very jarring, and no one likes to look at stuff like that. It also helps you to, oh, hello computer. It helps you to tie characters and dialogue together. I think we've all seen movies where like they'll do something called a reverse shot, in which someone is talking and then the camera will cut to the person that they're talking to, and then it'll cut back to them. And so that is what the J cut and the L cut are for, because what that technique actually is, it's just a J cut and an L cut put back to back. So that's the J cut and the L cut. B-roll is another important thing. So this is another reason why the timeline on Adobe Premiere is so valuable. So he's kind of got something like that right here. When you are editing video, you got what's called A-roll and B-roll. So I've done, for example, interview projects. Well, where I'll be interviewing someone, and then as I'm talking to them, as they're like the video plays, more footage comes up. Oh, I got an example. That's one of the videos that I have edited that uses this well. Whoops. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So this is one that I edited for the IRT, and you're gonna see some of the stuff that I'm talking about in here.
I loved The Dollhouse Part 2. It was a great continuation of the original play, and shows how far we have not come over the past 100 years from the original play.
I knew nothing about The Doll's House.
That's what I mean. You saw that while she was talking, that picture came up on the screen, and as she was talking, and that is an example of B-roll. B-roll is whatever secondary footage or images you place over the A-roll, your primary footage, and that serves a few purposes. It keeps the video interesting. People have very short attention spans. They do not like watching the same thing for extended periods of time, especially if you have to work on things like, documentary projects or something like that, where you're doing a lot of interviews, a lot of people sitting and talking. B-roll is absolutely invaluable for keeping people's attention. It also can help to better convey the story that you're trying to tell. Because people are visual, we're very visual creatures, and we rely a lot on that information, on the information we receive to our eyes to add context to what we're hearing. So that's not really what I did here quite as much. I did with this one, it was just more to keep people's attention than anything else. But if you are, I did one project a little bit ago where it was a project about voting, and as our subjects were talking about voting, and about how important it is that we vote, I had videos of the protests up on the screen. I had videos of and just stuff and similar stuff that kind of speaks to the importance of voting. Yeah. Let me see. B-roll, A-roll, J-cut, L-cut. Oh. Okay. My computer is finally doing what I need it to do. So give me 1 second and I'll get this set up. If you guys have any questions, now would be a great time. Again, now we'll come back. I'll put myself back on the screen. So, whoops. What I find when editing is that you don't often use these terms a lot. Like it's not because, and that's mostly because of the type of editing that I end up doing. There are a lot of places where you'll be sitting in the editing room with your director, whoever's in charge of the project, and they'll be telling you, can we put a J roll here, a J cut here, or an L cut here? Can we have some more B roll here? But the way, in my workplace at least, it's a lot of the time, the projects that I work on, I'm the creative lead. I'm the one who is deciding those, you know, what goes where. And so it's useful to know the names of the techniques that you're using, so that you can, you know, have a better understanding of how they work and where they work, and you know, what makes them valuable. L cuts and J cuts and B roll and A roll are just like some of the like basic, most rudimentary things that you have to know about to edit. And like Trevor asked earlier about other video editing softwares that I use, and when I say that like things are basically the same throughout all of them, that's the kind of stuff that I mean. You'll be able to do in any good video editing software that you can get on, you know, your computer. Those are the kind of things that you'll be able to do in all of them. You'll always be able to do an L cut. You'll always be able to do a J cut. You'll always be able to add A roll and B roll. The trick is to know where the tools are that you need to do that, and to know how to interpret your timeline to see where things are and where they need to be. Okay, I'm going to move Zoom onto my computer, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys there. And I've got Adobe.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you guys as students have access to the Adobe stuff at a discounted rate, or possibly even for free? Because I know I get it because I'm a faculty here, or not faculty, because I'm on staff here. But do you guys get that access to that kind of thing too? So now would be a really fine time for you to get it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Before I got to Butler, with the company that I was working for, I was paying for Adobe on my own because, you know, I'm not an employee, I'm a contractor. And that a lot of the time, that's how video work works. You don't get to be employed anywhere. You just get to kind of freelance for yourself. So it was really great.
You get to write it off on your taxes. So.
I do get to write it off on my taxes. Yeah, 1099 forms. Woo! So I was really happy when I got to Butler because like the Adobe Premiere alone is like $20 a month, but the Adobe Suite, like with the student version of Butler is like I get that for free, and it's like, wow, awesome. Thanks, tuition. Okay, so just a plus, you know. And something that's also really interesting while we're talking about the Adobe Suite, the tools that you use in Adobe Premiere translate mostly to the other video and editing softwares that are available to you in the Adobe Suite. So I've been doing Adobe Premiere for a while. I would consider myself fairly competent at it. And because of that, this summer we did a project where we were doing podcasts. We were capturing stories from the community about how people have adapted to the pandemic. And I was editing in Adobe Audition, and because I was so familiar with Adobe Premiere, I was able to pick up Adobe Audition really fast. Now, of course, Audition is an audio editing software, not a video editing software, and I'm nowhere near as proficient in Audition as I am in Premiere, but I was able to make some workable content with it because of my knowledge of Adobe. And that's because, for one thing, the user interfaces are very, very, very similar. The only difference I would say between the way that Audition, or the biggest difference I'd say between the way that Audition is set up and the way that Premiere is set up is that you don't have that video viewfinder in Audition because it's an audio editing software. But then there are things called keyframes, which I'm going to show you guys in a second when my computer gets when Adobe gets started up. Hello, that are valuable for being able to. And I am leaving this. But keyframes are valuable. So, hey everyone. Keyframes are valuable to be able to do stuff like fade audio in and out, to be able to cause movement in your footage, and I'll explain a little bit more about them later. But basically, they're something that both Audition and Premiere use. Because I knew how to use them in Premiere, I knew how to use them in Audition. And so that's just to say that, you know, learning Premiere, or I'd say learning Premiere, because it's probably, I think it's the easiest one. Learning Premiere gives you a lot more skills that you can use on other platforms. So Premiere Pro is starting up on my computer right now. When it does, I will share my screen with you all, and then I can teach how I would like to teach. So we're just going to give that a quick second. Is the right one? This might not be the right one. For some reason, I have both Adobe Premiere Pro 2019 and 2020 on my computer. So, welcome to Adobe Premiere. Why do I have to sign in? Ugh! Thank you. Thank you for your permission to use your software, Adobe. So gracious, so kind. Okay. So this is what you see when you first start it up. You got file, edit, clip, sequence, stuff. Right now, all I need is file. So I'm going to, I don't have any recent projects, do I? I do. Let's see if this works. So this is a project that I did very recently. I may have, let's see if I still have this footage. But it was the project that I was telling you about, the voting video project. And it was one that I did with my company just to encourage people to go out and vote in November. Please, I need you to work. My computer is so slow these days. If I can close that Chrome and be fine. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Yes, we're in business. Okay. No. So okay. So here we are. Here we are in Adobe Premiere. Minimize myself. So when you start, so this is the interface. This is what it looks like. This is here's your timeline, your tools, all that stuff. Now that I can, I'm gonna go through, like I said, in Adobe it'll lets you move your palettes around the screen. So that's something that's just cool and good to know. Let me get some footage in here first, so you guys can see some stuff. So when you like I said, you opened it up and you can import footage. I'm going to use this footage that we got for African Americana, because it's what I still have on my computer. And we're going to play around with this a little bit. Please try to ignore my face and my voice. I know how infuriating they can be. So when you import a clip, it'll appear over here in your project files. And from there, you just click it, you drag it over here into the timeline, and boom, now you've got a clip that you can edit. This is what's called a sequence. A sequence is basically, instead of all of your clips individually, the sequence is what all your clips are together. And so it's important just to make sure that you're not clicking and dragging the sequence and that you're clicking and dragging the clips that you want to use. But so here, I've got me. I can use the selection tool to click it, drag it around. I can use the selection tool to drag it onto different tracks on the timeline. And Adobe creates new tracks as you expand clips. So if I wanted to add like 2 more clips or 50 more clips, Adobe would keep making tracks until I had all the ones that I needed. It's best not to get too crazy because it does take up your machine's processing power, and then it makes the application run a little less smoothly. I'm actually going to show you guys how to do a J-cut and an L-cut because I can now. So I'm going to import this footage that I took with my company's drone a few weeks ago, just because I think it's fun. So L-cut. This is an L-cut. It is an L-cut because the actual cut happens right here, and it's called an L-cut because it's called an L-cut because it's cutting from a clip that's already playing. I can wear this. Like I said, it looks like an L. But the way you do it, you take one clip, you put it on top of the other, and you just cut the clip on top so that it ends before the clip on the bottom. And
it means staying quiet, staying low, keeping your head.
And that's an L cut. And a J cut is the opposite way, where it just cuts from a clip that's playing on the bottom to the clip that's playing on the top.
Organized racing the daily tallies to Chicago, train volunteers, and hit the streets for 18-hour shifts.
Boom, J cut. So that is that, and this is a good example of A-roll and B-roll. Awesome. Something that I haven't mentioned yet. This little line up here where it's yellow and red, that shows what has been rendered and what has not been rendered. Now, rendering is it helps the computer and it helps the program process footage. Because it helps it compresses the files so that they are easier to manage for the computer, and it also, if footage is rendered, when you export it, it'll be higher quality than if it was not rendered. So when I'm editing footage, if I ever want to watch the footage back, I have to render the footage as it is so that it plays through as smoothly as possible. So to do that, I can set my in and I can set my out, which I will show you guys how to do in a bit. And I hit enter, and then the footage starts to render. And rendering normally takes a little bit, so it's not something that you do all the time. It's typically only something you do when you are pretty far along in the editing process. So I'm just going to cancel that because it's not really necessary right now. Let's get into these shortcuts, because these are really like super, super valuable, and they have been super valuable for me since I learned how to do them. Now, when you're editing, so say I'm editing, I'm chugging along, getting work done, moving clips, making money. Now, I could, whenever I need to make a cut, which you probably will have to do a lot depending on how much footage you have, every time I need to make a cut, I can click over here for the razor tool, and then click back for the selection tool. Or Control Z, I could, what is it set to right now? I could C, cut, V, drag, and then it's done in like half the time. And those little milliseconds that you save from clicking across the screen really, really add up. So you guys can't really see, but I've got like my pinky on my shift key, like my WASD keys, my space bar, and it's just like, just with my hand right here, I can move so fast. I can play, I can stop, I can speed video up really fast. I can slow it down. No, what does that do? Oh, I can make it move backwards. And just like stuff that I can do with these shortcuts. So shortcuts, you're going to go to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts. And from there, you can bind them to whatever you want them to be. I like to keep mine all very close together, just the tools I use the most so that I don't have to do a whole lot of hand movement. I've got my selection tool set to V. I've got my razor tool set to C, so they're right next to each other. Let me see. Step back is set to Q, and that lets me rewind my footage so I can move myself back. Shuttle slow right. What that allows me to do, it allows me to, so going back. If I'm playing my footage, when I hit my E key,
do you wish to search the prompt?
It speeds it up.
You're going to need some search more, or it's more probable cause of overcarriage.
And then I can just, every time I hit my E key, the footage speeds up more. And that's just good to like, if you want to just like watch through a clip really quick after you've edited it. It's good for saving, excuse me. It's good for saving time because you don't have to watch through the whole clip. Like as it is, you can just kind of like speed through it really fast to make sure everything is where it needs to be. Let's go through some effects and stuff. So we got my video transitions, and I end up using video transitions a lot more than I end up using video effects, and I end up using dissolves a lot more than I use a lot of the others. You've got stuff like you can do a cube spin to transition. Oh, here's something actually that's pretty useful. So when you've got clips, when you've got them in your timeline, you can make them. You can only have those clips interact with each other if they are in the same track. So if I've got this drone footage up here, and I've got my African Americana footage right here, and I want them to cross dissolve between each other, I can't make them directly cross dissolve between each other because they are not on the same track. However, if I just move this down here, and it might not do it because there's, oh yeah, it works. Fine. If I just move this down here, then all of a sudden they can cross dissolve between each other. Really nice, really pretty, really cool. But then there's like, and the ones I use the most are the cross dissolve, dip to black, and dip to white. A lot of the time at the end of my projects, I'll put, like sometimes our clients have sponsors, and excuse me, they'll want me to put all the sponsors at the end, and I'll create a title and I'll put all the sponsors logos on that, and I'll use the dip to white to transfer to that card because I'll use a white card. Or sometimes I'll want it to just fade to black, and I use the dip to black because it's kind of cleaner than your regular cross dissolve. So those are the transitions that I use. Now sometimes you'll have people that want to get you creative. I don't know why they would. Cross dissolve is really all you need, but you've got like, you know, wipes and zooms and slides all up through here. Video effects. So video effects are good for like I said earlier, adjusting the footage you've already shot if you did not shoot it right the first time. However, there's only so much video effects can do. Like, gosh, I don't even know. Like there's stuff in here to, there's stuff in here that you can use to crop. That's pretty useful. So there's stuff in here to like make your footage less grainy, I guess. But like really that's stuff that can only really be done well with the camera. You should not rely on this stuff after the fact. Shoot it right the first time, and you'll save yourself a lot of trouble later. Audio effects. I don't use audio effects very often. In audio effects, you've got stuff like volume. You can mute stuff. You've got filters and EQs, which just means like you can like make something have like more or less bass. There's a lot of stuff up here that you can use and explore that I don't really use all that often just because like the work that I do doesn't require it. However, in audio transitions, you've got like these crossfades, which are very useful because they allow you to transfer between audio very easily. I've done some projects recently where I have had audio that I've had to edit an audition and then export into Adobe Premiere. And so that's like something that I've been doing a lot more recently, but these are just here if you need them. We're also going to explore the effect controls a little bit more because I didn't really get to go into them earlier. Some of my shortcuts aren't what they need to be, so pardon me if I'm a little slow. So up here, you got your effect, that's edit, your effect controls. Position, scale, rotation, anchor point, all that stuff, very cool, very valuable. So what you'll notice is if I have, say I want to do a dissolve, if I have, so right here, these are just like your defaults for your video. If I have these right here though, if I drag the cross dissolve and I put it at the end of the clip, put it at the end of the clip, where is it? That is weird. That's weird, not gonna lie. Just a second. Well, I don't know what's going on. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I see the problem. So I think I see the problem. So that's actually an issue. Normally, when you add an effect to a clip, the controls for that effect end up in here, and then you can, you know, adjust them. Oh, I do know the problem actually. So that is a transition. Transitions don't really have those. However, if I wanted to use like this crossfade, for example, no. Oh, what's an effect? What's an effect that works? Okay. Yeah, so if I wanted to use like this blur tool, for example, if I wanted to use camera blur, yeah, see, there we go. It pops up right here, and then I can use the blur and like I can adjust it here, and you adjust the blur in effect controls. But yeah, so you can use position to move your clip side to side, and then it plays sideways. You can use scale to make it smaller or bigger, and then it's right there. And like I could use the crop tool if I wanted to cut this in half, or like cut a section out of this, cut a section out of this, and have them play side by side. Down here, I've got controls for volume, so I can adjust the levels down here, make it quieter or louder. And this is what you use to just control any effects or anything you want to put on your video. Now keyframes, let's get into keyframes since I've got like a few minutes left. So what a keyframe is it's instructions for the program to tell it what to do to footage. So if you do a keyframe, and all effects will have these little clocks next to them. You do a keyframe by clicking this little clock right here, and it sets the keyframe right here. You toggle the animation, and then so that tells Premiere where to start. This little keyframe right here tells Premiere where to start. And then if I go over here and I just make any change, then it tells Premiere where to end. So now over time, the levels of the audio will go from 0 decibels to 15 decibels. And the closer the keyframes are together, the quicker that transition happens. So like if I did it like this, like the difference wouldn't be perceptible until I got here, but if I put them right next to each other, then it means staying quiet. It's gonna get low, keeping your head on a swivel. Loud kind of fast. Watching your back and not driving alone. So I found myself getting a big old slice of nostalgia. Yeah, so the volume starts to increase. And so So if you ever got a clip that you want to like do like a slow zoom on, you'd like you go to scale and you toggle the animation for scale. You set a keyframe for scale, and then let's move this up some so that we can actually see it. And then you go forward and you set it to where you want the zoom to end. And then just like that, you got to clip the zooms. Boom. Oh, someone in the chat. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Okay, sweet. So yeah, so those are keyframes. Yeah. Oh, another thing that's very valuable. So sometimes you're gonna want to put text on your videos, and you do that with you can use the type tool, and you just down here you click in the viewfinder and drag, hit enter, or you hit the click tool and boom, you've got text. And the text behaves like any other video clip. You can adjust the position, you can adjust the scale, rotation, which is just like you can make it turn and all that. Anchor point sets where that location where the rotation happens from. You can adjust that by clicking up here. This little like crosshair type thing you can kind of see right here, and then that changes the. Guess not. Guess it does not change the source of the rotation. But yeah, so there's that. But what I like to do though is instead of using the type tool, I go to File, I go to New, and I go to Legacy Title. And it opens up this separate window. Now, Legacy Title allows you to do a lot of things the type tool would not allow you to do. You can still type, sure, but you can also use rectangles. You can make shapes. You can do all sorts of stuff. Why this is valuable is because sometimes, save that, that's done. And then like you just make that, you click out of it, and then it pops up. But this is valuable because sometimes like at the end of a video, you'll have like, they'll want to have like a title card at the end. So I'd make that title, I'd make that square. I'd go to video transitions, I'd get a cross dissolve, I'd drop it between them and just have it so that it just dissolves into that white square, and then I just have whatever text I want to have up here on top of that. And you can also, yeah, and then there's controls for the texting under here as well. So change the color, chin, teach, video, and yeah, and so that's how you do that. Yeah. So some other tools that are down here that I said were useful. So you see these ones that have these little arrows next to them are they have more to offer. And actually, I'm not entirely sure. Work with me here.
On Vectorworks, if you click and hold, it opens up another drop down.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Yeah. So if you click and hold them, then boom, you got more tools. This is the rate stretch tool that I was talking about earlier. It lets you stretch out the stretch out the speed of footage. So if you ever wanted to do something that like, you know, you've got like stuff in slow-mo, or you want to do stuff like a time lapse, you grab this, you click the end of the clip, you drag it out, and it'll stretch the clip to fit whatever space you want it to fit in. Those I don't use. The pen tool. I think the pen tool allows you to like draw shapes in here. Also one that I don't really ever use that often, just because like the type of work that I do is not the type of work that you know, calls for that kind of stuff. But yeah, now yeah, I can get into no, I'm not getting into masking right now. Let me think. Is there anything that you guys want to know? Is there anything that you guys want to know how to do? Because that's pretty much all the basics. You've got, and you know how to import footage, which again is file, import, and then it comes here. You know how to get it into your timeline, click and drag it, put it here. If you know how to edit it and cut it and rate stretch it and do all this stuff you want. If you know how to use these tracks right here, mute footage, make footage transparent so you don't have to look at it while you're editing it. If you know how to add effects, transitions, all that. If you know how to edit those effects with the effect controls and influence your footage with the effect controls, those are all the basics that you need. That's the most basic stuff you need to be able to edit. How I've learned over the years is I've never had anyone teaching me like hands-on per se but there are tons of like, YouTube is your friend. So if you want to know how to do something, like if you see like something that people do a lot is they'll take effects that people do in music videos and they'll break them down and they'll show you how to do them. So if you see something that you want to know how to do, you can like just look it up on YouTube and then you've got all of that knowledge in your head. But those are the basics. That's everything that I had. Really, these let you adjust color. You got your audio clip mixer, which just shows you what your audio is doing. Like over here, you see it moving. That means that my audio is pretty level because it's all in the green, not in the red. But yeah. Browse media directly from your computer over here in the media browser. I don't do that very often because it's just a lot quicker to just like import footage directly if you know where it is. But it's something that you can do. Adobe has a lot of stuff like that you can do that I don't find particularly useful, just like in the way that I work. You might, that's fine, you know, there's no one way to do it. But it's just, it's just the way that I work. But yeah, is there anything you guys want to know how to do? Anything that you guys are curious about?
What kind of camera do you use?
Yeah. So I've got it right here, actually. This one is not mine. It's one that it belongs to my company, but I'm hanging on to it right now because I'm like the only videographer right now. This is a Lumix GH4. Really great camera. Really, really awesome. It allows you to, you can do photos, video, you can shoot in 4K, a lot of really great stuff. Right now I've only got the one lens. It is a 14 to 140 millimeter. It is a compact lens, not compact, what's the word that I'm looking for? It is a, oh man, I'm forgetting all my lens terminology right now. But basically you have two types of lenses. You have lenses that have multiple, what is the word? I just said it. Yeah, you have lenses that have multiple like distances that they can shoot at, or
focal lengths.
Yeah, multiple focal lengths. And you have lenses that have one focal length. Multiple focal length lenses are very versatile, so they're good if you have to like shoot a lot of different footage in one location. So like if I'm doing event footage, then I'll use a video with a lens with multiple focal lengths because it allows me to zoom if I need to, but I can also like adjust the focal length to be good for interviews if I have to do like get testimonies on the spot. But if I'm just sitting down to do an interview, I'll use like a nice like 50 millimeter or 35 millimeter lens because those are just good focal lengths for interviews and allows for consistency, and I don't have to do a whole lot of adjustment. So yeah, those are cool. But yeah, this is the camera that I use. I'm actually looking to get one of my own pretty soon. It's got this little screen right here, which is really cool. Flips out, just rotates, really nice.
Is that one of your own of that model, or that make that model, or one of your own cameras looking into something else?
Yeah, no, I want to get one of these. It's what I'm familiar with. It works very well. I'm gonna do a little bit more research because like we've had this one for like a few years, and I know that there's better cameras out there right now. So I just want to do some research to see if it's worth it to invest in one of those, or if I should go ahead and opt for something a little more recent. But that is what I use. Before we use the GH4, we used to use like the Canon Rebel series. The one that we used like right before we switched to the Lumix was the T5i, which was a pretty good camera. But I think the Lumix just had some more more capability when it came to like, you know, formatting and such. When I shoot drone footage, I use the DJI Mavic Pro. It's a drone that shoots in 4K. It's the drone that I shot this footage on. Yeah, it's definitely not their top of the line drone by any means, but we're not looking to do like any sort of like big cinematic footage. We're just looking to do some we just need to be able to shoot drone footage in 4K, so that's the one that we got. Yeah. Those are my cameras. Oh, and then also like other equipment that like you also want to like look into is you want to get like a boom mic or a shotgun mic and a boom stand, just because like on most DSLRs, which is the type of camera that this is, the built-in microphone isn't fantastic. And if you want to do like professional quality work, you need some sort of external microphone that you can plug into it. Some lavalier mics, lapel mics are very good. And then also kind of like a boom mic shotgun setup to help kind of like to supplement that. Something that Adobe Premiere lets you do is it lets you, so say that I did an interview and I recorded on like one device with a lapel mic and another device and my camera with the boom mic. Premiere will let me sync those audios up actually in the application, so that they are so that the people's words happen when their mouth moves. Really great stuff. We love when that happens. Yeah. Something else that's really cool that I forgot to go into. So when you're editing, when you're doing like real big projects, you'll get a lot of clips, and the more clips you have like playing at once, the longer it takes to render, the harder it is for you to watch it as you're editing it. And so like it extends the process. So something that like I do sometimes if I'm ever in a situation like that is I will highlight everything like all of one section, and I'll click make subsequence. No, that's not what I'll click, actually. I was wrong. I will click, haven't had to do it in a while. Nest? Yes, I'll click nest. And it turns this into a nested sequence. And a nested sequence is basically all your footage that you want to nest together in one thing, in one little like mini sequence in its own. So that makes it quicker. It makes it easier to render. It renders quicker, and it makes it easier to all move around. Because if you move the sequence, then it all moves together. And you can still edit footage within the nested sequence. If you double click it, it'll take you there. It'll open this up here, and to get back, you just click over here to your other project. Adobe allows you to edit multiple projects at once. So the nested sequence is kind of like a separate project, and you can just like put a lot of nested sequences together, and it makes your editing a whole lot easier. Yeah. That's what I've got. I'm glad we got to actually get the program open eventually, because I don't think it would have been really a great experience for anyone if I had to teach everyone through screenshots. But yeah, those are the basics. Those are the things that you have to know to start editing, and then from there you can kind of and from there, if you just like watch a lot of editing videos, you pick up more on the lingo, and then you can like figure everything else out from there. Yeah. If no one's got any questions, I'll let you guys go. Thank you all for coming. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning. Have fun editing. That's what yeah, this is for.